Ani Bonjour, Cynthia Disneycause, Minode Manakwe. My spirit name is Good-Hearted Turtle Woman, and my warrior is a red wolf. I am Anishinaabe Kwe. My family comes from Curve Lake First Nations community, and I'm of mixed ancestry, Irish English. And it's always important for me to acknowledge all of me and all of my ancestors. So I just wanted to be able to put that out there. So also, I want to turn around and say welcome to all the youth that are here with us today. I hope you really enjoyed the rest of the evening last night. I think you've probably had some really enjoyable conversations, and I know I really enjoyed the panel from last night. I felt like, after that, I wish I was a high school student again. so I had those opportunities to be able to maybe even be coached by some of those individuals that were with us last night. And I think we have another really, really great group of individuals. This is the entrepreneur panel. And so I'd love to welcome them as well. So there is Chef Wolfman, entrepreneur, future entrepreneur, Mulberry Designs, and Immerse Link. So welcome to all of you, the panelists. And then we also do have our OYAP rep again as well, and that is Charmaine. So welcome. It's a pleasure to be a part of this panel. It's a privilege for all of us actually to be here to share our knowledge with you. And we're always looking for the future and the next 7 generations. So it's great to have so many well-versed individuals here for you. So what I'm going to do is the same as I did last night. It seemed to work, so I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to give each of you an opportunity to introduce yourselves by your name, what your business is like, and obviously that's probably your job title too. But so I'm going to go first with Chef David Wolfman.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for having me here. My name is Chef David Wolfman, and I I'm a chef, professor, and television host. And really what I am is also a cook. So I just love, have a passion for food. And what I really do is I change people's lives. So I have the greatest job in the world, where I actually take all of the skills that have been shared with me. Like my mom and some of the elders have said to me, these are things that are given to you to give away. So every day I'm giving away recipes, and I'm also giving away food, and everybody loves me. As a matter of fact, I can't go anywhere without people saying, do you have any food on you? So let's just, I'll stop there. And so I'm also just quickly a chef professor at George Brown College. And then I also have my own TV show, and I do a lot of cooking for people all across the country.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm going to have to watch that show. So then I will go to Charmaine.
Bonjour. Ozawa Benessa Kwen Additional Cause, Bitagong Nishnabek, Endoji, Karamat Endojaba. My name is Charmaine McCraw, and I work for Origin. I am of Eagle Clan, and my spirit name is Yellow Thunderbird. I'm originally from Karamat, Ontario, which is a really small town in Northern Ontario, and I am the lead of Indigenous engagement and training. Origin is the creator of Immersive Link, which is a cool VR headset tool to learn about career and culture. And my role at the company is to build relationships between First Nation communities, Indigenous peoples, and industry. So thank you and welcome.
Wonderful, thank you. And I'll go to Jason next, please.
Hey, what's going to go, everyone? Hello, how are you? My name is Jason McDowell. I hail from Akwesasne. People aren't familiar with Akwesasne. I have Cornwall Island, Ontario, St. Regis, Quebec, and Hogansburg, New York in my territory. Proves to be quite interesting to live here. I am the business development manager for Futurepreneur. What Futurepreneur does is we assist Indigenous young entrepreneurs between the ages of 18 and 39. 18 and 39, excuse me, with startup costs to a business that they're looking to launch within the year. It can't be operating for more than a year, and it's looking to be launched within the year. I can loan up to $60,000, and it is a non-collateral credit-based loan. A non-collateral credit-based loan. I want to stress that with the non-collateral, because territories like Akwesasne mine, that non-collateral is a big thing that tends to be a big sticking point for the banks. So again, a non-collateral credit-based loan for Indigenous young entrepreneurs between the ages of 18 and 39. I oversee Ontario East, so that's Ontario, Quebec, and the rest of the provinces up there. So one of the things I always tend to forget, this loan, it's a 5-year loan. And one of the big things that comes with it is a mentor. So the mentor is up for 2 years, and the mentor is there to assist you in where you need help. You let us know where you need help. It's not us saying, all right, congratulations, you got your loan. Now here's your mentor, good luck. That's not how it works. You let us know what you need for assistance. If you need help in sales and marketing, you need help in budgeting, something to that effect, we will find a mentor that has those strengths. That mentor may not be in the same business as you, but their strengths is what we're going after to assist you in growing your business. We also have a side hustle program. Once again, same ages, between the ages of 18 and 39. We can lend up to $15,000 on that. And what that side hustle means is you have a full-time job, and this side hustle, hence the name, is what you're doing to earn some extra money. So we can loan up to $15,000 on that, and that particular business, it can be operated for as long. There is no limit. It can be operated 5-10 years. And you just have to have a full-time job to show that you can still survive as you're taking this loan to do your side hustle. So I can provide a lot more information to people who would like to hear more about Futurepreneur. I don't know if our contacts for the panels are being distributed to everybody who's attending this, but I'll be more than happy to talk to anybody who would like to hear more about Futurepreneur. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jason. And maybe if you wanted to type in your contact information into the chat, they could get it that way. Next, I will turn around and ask Pandora to actually share your name and your business.
Ani, Pandora Indigenous Cause. My name is Pandora, and I'm the founder of Mulberry Design and Engravings. We're a mainstream laser cutting and engraving service, but our focus is on creating Indigenous early learning resources. So we make Montessori and Waldorf inspired early learning resources that feature our traditional languages. I started my business because I'm an ECE student, and I didn't find that there were a whole lot of resources for me to introduce into Indigenous community classroom settings. So I decided that I was going to bridge that gap. I'm Métis from Georgian Bay, Ontario, but I live down in Linwood, Ontario, which is in the region of Waterloo in the heart of Mennonite country. It's been a really great experience living where I live because I'm surrounded by amazing woodworkers and woodworking manufacturing facilities that I've been able to connect with along my journey, which has brought me to where I am today. Merci, Miigwech.
Miigwech. And I will ask the OYAP person to actually introduce themselves as well.
Hi, how are you?
Good,
My name is Carmen Romano. I am not an entrepreneur like many of you on the screen, but hopefully I'll be able to add some input with regards to this fancy acronym, Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, and maybe connect some dots for some of the chat participants and the participants in the event. Specifically, when you really look at everybody on the screen here, I mean, Pandora just is just a fantastic example of somebody who is worked as an ECE and saw an idea and made it become an entrepreneur and became an entrepreneur. And I think that's exactly the crux of what we're doing here in this particular session. So hopefully I'll be able to kind of maybe share a little bit and connect some of the sectors and some of the apprenticeships that are out there. And at the end of the day, if we really stop and think about anybody that's as most people that are in skilled trades, they're entrepreneurs. Most of them turn in to become their own business and entrepreneur. Not all of them. And hopefully I can maybe add some insight. So I want to thank everybody for making me inviting me for being part of this session, and really look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to turn around and ask somebody to define entrepreneurship. I know for many years I didn't know what that word meant. I think one time I thought it was an interpreter. So, you know, so I'm going to ask Charmaine, because she's the first on my. Would you please explain that to?
Awesome. Thanks, Cynthia. So I think really when we talk about entrepreneurship, it's really taking an idea that you have and turning it into a business, and really taking your own creativity, your own strengths, your own unique abilities, and bringing something to a market, whether it be a product, whether it be a service, or simply, you know, creating those connections between organizations or between companies as well. So I think entrepreneurship can be defined in a lot of different ways, but it's really doing what you love and for yourself.
Wonderful, thank you. Did anyone have anything else that they wanted to add to that? I thought that was a really great definition. And if everybody's okay, then I'm just going to move on to the next question. So this part I'm going to have each of you actually share about. It's how did you decide to launch your own company? What inspired you to become an entrepreneur? And I'm going to start with Chef David Wolf.
Okay, well, thank you very much. It's actually interesting how I started my company. I remember somebody saying that if you had a strong enough hunger to do something, you could actually have, what's the word we use, a fire within, right? And to me, a fire within, it's really neat because I use that all the time. And so when I saw this, I thought, this is really cool because keeping that fire going within, what is that? Well, that's a passion, and creating that hunger and being able to do what you want to do. And I just absolutely love food. I think it was that my mother actually brought me into the kitchen, and I had a hunger for food. We didn't have a lot of food. I could smell food. I went in there. My mom said, "What are you doing in here?" And I said, "I'm coming to help." And you know, I was 9 years old, and she gave me her apron, and I was stirring some food, and the bread came out of the oven. My mom used to make homemade bread. And so she said, "Look at these, are broken. We better eat these." So we ate them up, and there started a really good relationship with my mom, not just to be interested in hearing my mom's stories, and I created that hunger for knowledge, but also to learn how to cook. And then I remember, like, my mom never went to school. My mom had got tuberculosis, so she wasn't allowed to go to school. But she was one of the biggest encouragers for me to go to school. When she said, "What do you need?" I said, "I want to be a cook." And she said, "What do you need?" And I said, "Well, I need this, and I have to do this." And she said, "Well, let's do it." And it was really great because for somebody who never went to school, I didn't realize that she, you know, didn't know. And like later in life I did. And so my career, my becoming an entrepreneur was just, I love food. I love being around food. And it was something else. It was just magical after I learned how to cook. And by the way, I'd like to also say that I did go to George Brown College as an apprentice. So I am an OYAP graduate. But when I looked at my career and looked at all of the things I was doing, there was a magic moment that I used to love when we would have 200 people in the room and you'd serve them all, and there would be this moment of silence for everybody who's just eating. And I thought, oh, this is fantastic. And you feel like this bird that's feeding your little babies, right? And I guess that was, you know, but I guess my career or my business just grew from having a passion for what I was doing and just finding better ways. And I remember somebody when I was younger said to me, "What did you do good today? And what could you do a little bit better?" And it wasn't, "What did you do bad?" Because everybody's going to tell us what we're doing bad, that the food was not right or whatever. And so I kind of lived with that philosophy, and it just grew into not just doing what I loved as well, but also serving people. And I think that was it. And I don't know if it's hands up. Does everybody love food here? Hands up. Yeah, I think most people do, right? Most people do. Yeah, there we go. Right? Yo, food, exactly. So, and so I think that having something that people need is key, and then also loving what you're doing. So I think the combination of the two, and it just happens to be food. So that's how I started my business, and I started by just running a catering company. So I started as a cook actually in a couple of places in hotels in the Marriott Then I developed a Indigenous catering company. And then from there, it was interesting because I used to cook so much food carrying in the catering company. And then when I moved in front of a classroom, I would cook less food, but the students would eat it. So I didn't have to cook as much. And then when I went to TV, I'd be just cooking this much food, and it'd just be my co-host and I that would eat it. And then doing a cookbook, I would do all of this food, and it was just me eating it. So it's kind of but food is everywhere, and I think it's great, and it's something great to also to share. I think that people really want to know how to cook things, and it's a real big mystery to everybody. What spices do you need in that? And I'd like to simplify it and show people that it's actually great. And by the way, for those of you that are learning to cook or want to learn to cook, and anybody else, I think there's a lot of you guys eat. So when you make a mistake, just get rid of the evidence, right? Eat it up, right? So.
Thank you for sharing. Yes, it's good to get rid of the evidence. Pandora, I'm going to ask you to go next, if you wouldn't mind, please.
So I've always enjoyed woodworking. I grew up going to craft shows with my grandma and her husband, my grandpa Larry, and they had just a very, very simple wood shop in their basement. He was in a wheelchair, so he was very limited as to what he could do. So they had like a little jigsaw and a sander and a planer in their basement, and I grew up doing that. Then as an adult, I was a teen mom, so I dropped out of high school, got my high school on my own, and I've waitressed really ever since. Waitressed and worked at Tim Hortons off and on through my whole life. So 2 years ago, I decided to finally go back to school and finish. So I'm taking ECE at First Nations Tech Institute, and we had this class project, and it was find Indigenous resources that are tailored to your culture that you could teach in a classroom, envisioning you're teaching, children from your own community. And there were 8 of us in the class because they're very small class sizes, and we couldn't really find anything. So I made a matching game out of like pieces of paper and brought it home and was talking with my husband about it. And he said, well, why don't you buy a laser with your savings? And why don't you try doing that? Why don't you try making that? So we did. So we bought one on Kijiji. We bought it used, bottom of the line laser engraving machine. And since then, so July 2020, we've built our business into what it is today. So it was really seeing that gap and the desire to fill it. And I've always been a problem solver. I've never been one to be like, oh, well, just go look it up or go do this. If I see something, either I'm going to find a solution or I'm going to work with somebody to find that solution. And if there isn't one, I'll do it myself. And I really take that from just years of waitressing. Like you experience all sorts of things, and like working in the food industry, as Chef David knows, it's really hard, and it teaches you a lot that you don't really ever think that you're learning while you're doing it. And it's stuff that I've really applied to what I'm doing now. So yeah, it's kind of how we started and what drove me to do what I'm doing now.
Thank you for sharing. That's wonderful. And you know what? The passion is really there for both of you. So, but I'm going to ask Charmaine as well, if you could share.
Sure. So Origin was really inspired by helping to wake the warrior in people. So we started off with a program called Wake the Warrior, and it was about increasing Indigenous people's self-confidence and ability to position themselves in the world. So the program was called Wake the Warrior. It was really about understanding your personal brand and your uniqueness and what you bring to the workplace. So Melissa, who is the owner and operator, entrepreneur of our company, she grew up on Lake Helen Reserve, and she always seen a disconnect between the youth and the resources that were out there. So her inspiration lies in wanting to advance and provide all the tools possible for Indigenous youth to really believe in themselves and kind of catapult themselves into the world that we live in today.
Wonderful. And Jason, can you share a little bit about why you decided to open up the business that you're in now?
Well, I'm not actually a business. I do work
Okay.
with Entrepreneur, which assists, as I said earlier, 18 to 59, 60,000 on startup or 15,000 on side hustle. However, I can give my own little, I do have my own little side hustle going. And to the youth who are out there, my little advice is where you're located. See, it's that cheesy line out of the Pixar movie Robots. See a need, fill a need. In my case, where I was from in Akwesasne, as I mentioned, Cornwall Island, Ontario, St. Regis, Quebec, Hogansburg, New York, I have a border that goes right through me. So when COVID hit, for me, when the border closed, I am dual citizen, which means the border closure did not affect me. With the closure for Canadians not able to come through, see a need, fill a need. They needed to still have a couple of people needed medicine still brought across, and finding out the proper way to do it legally. I figured that out, and I went from once to twice a month to I'm going 2 to 3 times a week across. So my little side hustle program really picked up. Well, that's my piece of advice to the youth out there. You see something out there that needs to be done and you're motivated, do it. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, so again, I want to thank all of you for sharing your knowledge. I just want to turn around and take a moment to say, the next question is, what are the best and most difficult aspects of being an entrepreneur? And I'm going to go with you, Jason, too, because you talked a lot about the coaches that you actually bring forward. And so I'm just kind of wondering if you could share about that. And
Okay, hit me
the
with
future.
the question one more time,
Yeah.
Cynthia. Seriously, hit me with the question one more time. What did you
Okay,
ask?
one more time. Okay, yeah. So the question is, because what's the best and most difficult aspects of being an entrepreneur?
The best aspects for me is that I'm answering to myself. It's me that sets the schedule. It's me that decides how much money I'm going to make, how motivated I am. And then the most difficult, it's me that has to do all the work. And if something goes wrong, because I'm just a one-person business, if something goes wrong, generally it's my fault. So I have to accept responsibility if something goes wrong. But the greatest thing for me is it's me. I'm answering to myself. I'm going off my schedule, and that's, to me, that's the greatest thing as an entrepreneur.
Wonderful, thank you. And Chef David Wolfman, could you please answer that question too, about what are the best and most difficult aspects of being an entrepreneur?
Well, first of all, the best thing is that I'm doing what I love, and I have a passion for it. And it just really feels great when you are contributing. I think that there's two needs that we really need to do, and one of them is contributing and the other one is growing. In my industry, there's constant challenges, as we say in the industry. Your fridge breaks down, you didn't get the right food, customers don't want that. But I don't even call them challenges, I call them opportunities. So I remember having a lady come into the restaurant one time and she said, "You're not going to like me at all. I can't eat this. I have an allergy to this. I don't like that. And I'll never eat this." And I said, "What a great opportunity. I'll be right back." And she, when I brought her out a meal, she said, "Before I even taste this," she says, "I've never had a chef. Usually chefs just storm into the kitchen, but what you said was amazing. And you just made my day. And I don't even know what it is. I'm sure I'm going to like it." And I said, "Well, be honest, and that's it." So I always just sort of turned it around. I look at it as an opportunity. So when we do get those challenges, I'm going to use a metaphor here. We sharpen our knife with one side, and then the world sharpens the other side. And so those are the opportunities and challenges that I find that come our way, and they're always going to be there. So I think it's just a viewpoint that we take in handling them.
Wonderful, thank you. I'm going to ask Charmaine if you can answer that as well.
Sure, thanks, Cynthia. I mean, the best thing about it, just like the other panelists have said, is you kind of get to control what you do, right? And how you get to do things that you're passionate about. You get to do what you do, how you want to do it, what approaches you want to take. But it's also like the best thing is seeing how you positively impact people, or how like what you're doing improves other people's lives. I think like this company started as a very small company. It was a husband and wife, and they were started by delivering workshops, and it just opened so many doors. So once you start providing services and making your own reputation, and it just sort of continues to grow, and those ripple effects happen. I think some of the worst things though are, it is those long hours. It's the commitment. There's nobody else to do the work. You have to do the work. And one of the harder things as an entrepreneur, I will say, and we even still have challenges within our own organization now as we grow, is really focusing in on what it is that you are doing well and just sticking to that. Because as an entrepreneur, there's so many ideas out there and so many things that you can build off of, but at times that's when you can spread yourself real thin. So it's very good to kind of, it's hard at times to focus though on what it is you're doing and how you want to do it. So pick what you're good at and really focus on that, hone your skills around it and provide the ultimate service that you can.
Thank you very much, Charmaine. And Pandora, if you could answer those as well. What are the best and most difficult aspects of being an entrepreneur?
For me, one of the best aspects has been making my own hours. We have 4 children, 2 of which are under 4. The oldest 2 are teenagers. And it's been able to be home when the kids are home and working during the day, setting my own hours. It's great because my store's around the corner from my home, so I can walk to work. My wood shop's in my backyard, so everything is really close, and I don't have that commute that I used to have working at a native center in town. It would be 20 minutes to daycare, 40 minutes to work, then back to daycare, and by the time you get home, 7 o'clock, and you're too tired to really do anything with your family. One of the most difficult things for me has been our growth and my capacity and the ability to say no, but not wanting to, because you don't want to not have those relationships or those connections, and to say no to certain orders that we've had, but then the ability to fill them. So for me, it's really been the growth versus my capacity, but I've finally been able to find some staff to work with me, and we're slowly working on that. And it's really been in part to a mentor that I have through some funding that I got through an organization called Communitech. They were really able to help me focus on that and start to build a bridge to bridge that gap.
Thank you, Pandora. So before you leave, I have another question, because you've already kind of led into that about that you have some people that work with you now. So what types of careers would exist at your company?
So within my company, right now I have a girl who's doing woodworking with me. So she's in the shop. We just purchased a small CNC machine, which is it's like a cutter that's cut by a computer, I guess, to put it simply. So I've been teaching her how to use that. So how to use Mastercam software and AutoCAD to create files, and then the laser cutting and engraving as well. But the big role that she fills really is for my admin and my storefront side of things. So we have a storefront where we offer space to other local artisans from within our township to sell their stuff as well, with the goal being when they come in to pick up something from me, they're buying something from someone else and vice versa. So we've kind of done that. So she does a lot of the storefront. And what I kind of did to support having a staff member and to be able to support people working is I was a single mom for years. Daycare is not necessarily affordable. Affordable daycare has wait lists, so I actually cover her childcare through our business. So she brings her child to the babysitter that we have a relationship with here in town that my kids go to. I cover her childcare, and it gets her to work every day. So that's what we do for all of our staff. There's 2 girls that work for me now. We do that for both of them, and we've really worked on trying to make work accessible, because there are subsidies out there through our township and through our region, but it's not necessarily accessible subsidies. And sometimes wait lists are very long for licensed childcare centers that fall under those. So that was like the biggest, most important thing for me when I was looking for staff, was I was looking for female identifying individuals who face barriers to employment, and then building on their skills.
That's such a wonderful opportunity. And yes, thank you for putting that extra effort in for those young moms. So, Chef David Wolfman, are there any career opportunities working with you or in the field?
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's interesting because my career, I'm a cook. And I remember when I was an apprentice, people were saying, why do you want to be a cook? Like, you're going to be in the back of the house at some greasy spoon restaurant, never even getting a career anywhere. And I thought, well, what are you doing? To some of my friends, what are you doing, right? And I thought, I'm cooking food, and it metamorphed into what I am as a chef now. And not only am I a chef, but so when you look at the career that's in the company, there's chefs. You can work in a hotel. In a hotel, you can have managers, bakers. There's all different kinds of things. But besides just being a chef and a cook, I'm also a producer. So we produce our own TV show and have produced it, and it's been on the air for 18 years on APTN, and now it's because I own it, it's also, I've licensed it to the States, a couple of smaller companies in the States. So, and there's now there's camera people, food production people. And by the way, on my TV show, we always ate the best food. I always brought in a chef, not just to do my food, my prep, but just to do meals for everybody, because there's 40, 50 people. So there's so many different jobs involved in there. And now also, like I said, I'm doing my own, because of COVID. I've had to rely on how can I become a switcher and operate multiple cameras and take over, and technology has allowed us to do that. So there's a lot, the careers are endless in ours. If you're a person that doesn't like, maybe you have the skills that you don't really like to talk to people, you can be a baker in the middle of the night at the Royal York Hotel where you're just producing food by yourself. If you are a numbers person, you can be an accountant working in a large hotel firm or catering company. If you love people, you can be out front like me. Like they always say, David, get back in the kitchen, right? Or at least Marlene says that to me, right? And I think that's important. And if you just love food and handling food, you can be, again, in that section of foods, I can be producing the same meal every day. I've worked in nursing homes, I've worked in schools, I've worked at the Marriott, but I've also worked in bistros where, you're doing the artwork and you're doing the fancy plates and everything. And so there's so many different opportunities and so many different jobs, from working as a waiter, a waitress, waiter, hostess, selling food. If you didn't want to even handle food, there's people that sell food. And by the way, now with the careers today, you can, instead of just being a chef, you say, I don't want to go and work in a sweaty kitchen and everything. You can just create your own food, get out your phone, right? And start a blog, and, you get a lot of people, and then you get to eat your own food at the end of the day. So you don't even really have to go out. So there's lots of different things. It's quite a few endless. It's endless as many thoughts as you can think. As many careers, I think, that are tied to food service, right?
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. Charmaine, would you like to go next?
Absolutely. So when the company first started, it started with 2 workshop coaches. That's what they did. They went into First Nation communities and delivered programming around Wake the Warrior, self-care, all these things. But our company has grown to over 15 individuals now. We have a director of our company, we have people in finance, we have people in sales. We still have our workshop coaches. We have people doing outreach direct to First Nations and knowledge keepers. We have video producers, we have video editors, we have camera operators. We have an on-set assistant. We have programmers working in the background on some of our proprietary tools that we have. We have marketing people and public relations people. So we also provide internships as well at the company now. So the impact has grown from a husband and wife starting out as 2 workshop facilitators to a company that's really making an economic impact and a social impact in our communities.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Jason, I would like to ask you the same, of what types of careers exist at your company, or you could even highlight maybe a couple of coaches or businesses that people have come to you for.
I'll start with my own little side hustle program, as it is picking up. Eventually, I could use someone to clean driver's license, a truck or a van, to assist as this company grows. I didn't expect it to go as quick as it is. But for my company, Futurepreneur, I highly recommend it. People, I know we're talking to youth, but I'll spit it out anyway, that we do have a couple of positions open specifically for Indigenous. There is an Indigenous CRM, Client Relations Manager position open. That's been open for about 2 months now. It's one of those that's open until filled. So if anybody's interested in helping people become entrepreneurs, I highly recommend jumping on the futurepreneur.ca, going to their careers link, and you're going to see some jobs open. I highly recommend it. It's a fun place to work at.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so now I'm not sure, but I'm hoping that some of you might have some of the tools, or talk about the tools that you actually use within your daily activities. So I'll start with Chef David Wolf first, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just brought one, and I knew this was coming up. That's why I disappeared for a quick moment. But I have a hand blender here, so maybe I'll take my my blur off of here, off my background. Excuse me a second. So there we go. Okay, so I have a nice hand blender here, as I think you can see that now, right? So
yep.
This is used, it's called an immersion blender. And one of the great things is that you can take beets or carrots, and you can cook them down in a liquid, puree them, and then after they're pureed, you can bring it right down and make a smear on a plate. And it's funny because smears on the plates were something that was just not done, back in the day when I was training in the late 70s, or, everything was clean, and now people are smearing. So I thought I would pull this out because this is a really good tool to have, as well as for a number of things, not just making smears, but pureeing soups and that. But I thought, since we do catering and we do large quantity, that these are some of the things that we do. So I brought in my big gun too, and this looks like something Arnold Schwarzenegger might have. But this one is for actually putting into a large soup pot, and it's quite heavy. It's got a pretty strong motor on there, and we use that for doing again large quantity soup. So what I want to talk about is that not only when you learn how to cook, it's you learn how to cook your just small portions, maybe work in a small restaurant, but it's scaling up food. Like when I went to work for the Marriott, we were serving 700, 800, 1,200 people. When I went into catering, it was bigger numbers. And so you still had to produce the same recipes. You still had to know how to cook, but it was just larger volumes. And even so much so that I remember one time I was in Frankfurt, Germany, part of a team, and we served 7,000 people in one meal. Now, what it was 7 different satellite sort of kitchens that were serving 1,000 people. And the way we broke it down is that I had 4 lines in my station, so that was really 250 on each line. So when you chunk it down, it's not as much, but still somebody has to manufacture the food. So I just thought that's my favorite one. Whenever I did an OEAP presentation up on just up north of Barrie there, and we were doing a potato soup, and so I had them use a small blender, and I said, "Hey, who wants to help me?" And I pulled out the big one, and the little guys loved it. So but it's also a tool of the trade, some of our other tools we have, like you have a KitchenAid mixer, we have bigger mixers and bigger machines. And again, those are just food in the food service section. So there's so many other pieces of equipment, because I guess my career is not just as a cook, it's being on TV. So I have cameras and switchers and all sorts of things that I can go on all day. I don't want to take all of that.
No, you're doing great. And I can't imagine serving 7,000 people.
Well,
Yeah.
if you just chunk it down, it's really what it is. So, and that's, like I said, so it was just making like, so each station has 1,000, there's 4 lines, so it's 250. And if you think of it, we say it was chicken, it was actually, it was a stuffed chicken with game meat. But if you think of it, each pan, a hotel pan had 50 portions. So if you think of each side, it only has 5 pans. It just, as you chunk it down and you figure it out. But of course, it's one thing that I've never, sorry, I shouldn't say never, but very, very rarely have I ever run out of food. So, in my catering company, when I was running it at the Native Center, I think somebody mentioned the Native Center earlier, when I was running my catering company back in the early 90s, people were saying to me, you never run out of food. How come? And I thought, well, I just made sure that I measured the right amount and brought the right amount of food there, right? But of course, again, as well, when we used to have events, they would invite 50 people and they would say, there's 300 coming. Well, that doesn't help either, right?
You can be a little short then.
Everybody knows our communities, right? But yeah. So.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
That's cool. Math and measurements. Math is everywhere in our business. Numbers, it's yields. So when you take an onion, it costs so much per pound, you take 15% of it off, and then so 85% yield, price goes up, and cost is everything. All of these little small things you need to know. And as well, measuring, I need to serve 100 grams per person. How many people? It's 400 people. So then they just do the math, right? And I'm a numbers guy, so I love math.
Wonderful. Pandora, would you like to go next? Because I think you're in your shop.
Yes, but I'm not going to show you the lovely, clean, not disaster it actually is. But I do have a little video here that's just showing how our laser works. It's pretty quick. I dropped a link in the chat with our TikTok and our Instagram handles. So we do a lot of posts using the laser and using the wood shop as well, if you want to kind of see more of the tools that we have there. But this is like our laser just with a time lapse, because TikTok videos can only be so long.
Mhm.
And I'm really proud of
Wow.
our laser. Yeah. So like, I'm really proud of our laser. Like it was really hard work to save up to get what we got. And that's our most expensive piece of equipment. And we were able to purchase that outright off of, again, off Kijiji earlier this year, off another business that was kind of closing theirs down and expanding into something bigger. Some of the other tools that we use is we have a heat press here as well. We have a vinyl cutter for making t-shirts and bags on request. We also have a sublimation printer, and then we use the heat press for that as well. So we've kind of started shifting some of our puzzles to sublimating the designs on it. So that way we can have colored designs on our puzzles. When Indigenous artists from the community send us pictures and they want them colorized on the puzzles, then that way we have that opportunity to do that, because a UV printer is another way to do it, but those are also very expensive as well. But the main tools that we do use is our laser machine, which is it's a Trotec brand. They're from Toronto. They're awesome. Customer service has been great for us. And then we use all Festool equipment in our machine shop. So we use a Festool dust extraction system, and they're sanding just because they're light on the hands, because I have small hands and like very little wrists. So it's lighter tools that I can use and my husband can use as well. And their customer service in Canada has been great for us. They're an American company, but they have dedicated support teams here, which was the biggest thing that I wanted when I was purchasing equipment. Is I wanted, if I needed help, I need an adult to come out and show me what to do. Not like a phone call to someone 50, 60 hours away. So yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Charmaine, did you have some tools that you would like to share? Or equipment? It doesn't have to be tools.
Yeah, for sure. So personally, for myself at the company, one of the biggest tools I use when I'm developing relationships is the how do I do this? The tobacco tie. So I do a lot of relationship building with knowledge keepers, industry, and Indigenous people. So anytime I'm asking for them to share or work with me, I always use the tobacco tie, and that's one of my most important tools as Indigenous engagement. I'm just gonna turn this background off for just a second. The other one that I use a lot are all of the grandfather teachings. So when I do workshops or I do engagement with any new partner, all of our contracts are based off of the grandfather teachings. So that's very important to me as a tool that I use in my business. But the coolest thing is the Immersive Link headset. So
Awesome.
the Immersive Link headset. So Origin is the creator of Immersive Link. It's an app. And within the app, there's two libraries. The one library has all career experiences in it, and one library has all Indigenous cultural experiences in it. So what it is we're in about 900 schools in Ontario right now. So it's used as an educational tool. It's used in civics classes. It's used in employment and training organizations. And what it is really about is an immersive experience. It's just a tour at this point. Like, this is our generation 1. We've already gone to generation 2 now. But it's about 3 or 4 minutes, and it's a snapshot into different careers and occupations. I think we have right now about 39 different occupations within our library. And in our cultural library, I believe we have about 15 different experiences that we work with knowledge keepers across Turtle Island to really demonstrate the diversity of nations and how different we all are, and the values and worldviews that we bring to Canada. So the other really cool thing, and I'll share it in the chat, but we get to use a Titan 11K camera. So it looks like a spaceship. It's about, I don't have it right now because they're filming on set, but it's about this big, and it's like a sphere, and it has 13 different cameras on the outside of it. So it captures things in all 360 videos. So there's many tools that we use here in all the different aspects of our business, but definitely the grandfather teachings really guide what we do, so that we consider that our largest tool.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Jason, what are some of the tools or equipment that you use?
Well, at this time, what I'm going to promote is if the youth between the ages of 18 and 39 are looking to start a business on futurepreneur.ca. If you go to our resource tab, there is a business plan writer, and it's a very user-friendly document that you can jump onto. and it's free to everyone. Even if you're not getting the Entrepreneur services, it is free. You can download it. Very user friendly on how to write out a business plan. It gives you the tips on your executive summary, your sales and marketing. So that's the tool that I would highly promote for people who are looking to become an entrepreneur on futurepreneur.ca, the resource tab for our business development, business plan writer.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, so we always talk about transferable skills, and I'm going to ask you to just mention 1 or 2 transferable skills that you think are important for what it is that you do. I'll start with Charmaine.
Some of the biggest skills as an entrepreneur is being able to be the person who's working, but also the person who's leading the company. So being able to plan and really kind of flesh out your idea is a skill that is very it's needed. And if you don't have it, it's always good to broaden your team and ask other people for the help that you need. So as an entrepreneur, one thing I know that we've learned here is that you can't do everything yourself sometimes. So sometimes you need to ask for help, and you can't be afraid to do that. Everybody has unique skills, and with those skills comes diversity, which is also awesome. And it also helps to kind of round out different perspectives of things. And that's what I would say the biggest transferable skill is being able to ask for help when you need it.
Wonderful. Pandora?
I would say that the biggest transferable skill is time management and prioritizing, at least for us. We get a lot of small volume orders, but then we get a lot of big volume orders as well. So being able to prioritize and to manage almost like ones that are similar, that you don't need to change everything up the way you're doing, because it's different settings for different types of woods and so on and so forth. So those would be the 2 biggest transferable skills, at least I found, and they're skills that I got through like waitressing and through working at a native center that I worked at for a number of years. The time management has been the most transferable skill that I've had. And it's something simple too. Like, I take a drink order at a table when I'm waitressing, and I have to think, how much time do I have after I put their order in to make sure they get a refill on the drink before their food comes. So those types of time management skills that you don't realize that that's a skill that you're building, but it's one that you're building. And you'll notice that at different jobs too, like Tim Hortons, you take an order at the speaker. How long does it take for you to go get the donut across the thing before you get back? Is the car there? What's your drive-through time? Those are all skills that I learned that I never really put a word to until I started my own business and had a mentor kind of being like, well, that's that. And where do you think you developed that? So for me, that's definitely those 2.
Wonderful, thank you. Chef David Wolfman.
I'd have to say teamwork, because we do nothing alone. We do absolutely nothing alone. So it's all about teamwork. It's about building your team and motivating your team. And I think how do we really build or do really good teamwork is we actually have to work on motivating ourselves first. And if we're not motivated, we're not going to be a good team leader or a team player. So really listening to your team, understanding your team, and sharing your vision. I remember when I ran my catering business, we were so busy for October, November, December. And I remember I was doing the planning for January, and I just pulled my team together and I said, we got nothing booked for January, February. And I'd really love to have everybody here, but if I have no money, I can't hire anybody. So what are your thoughts? And everybody said, well, print us some menus, give us some menus, and we'll keep the business going. And it was them that got my business so busy in January and February that kept them going. And it was like, okay, which was great. It was all part of it. But if I wasn't honest with my team, I don't think that would have been part of it. And so I think there's a lot of the teachings from the grandfathers, without a question, are all part of that, of being a team player and a team member as well.
Absolutely, wonderful. Jason, what are some transferable skills? 1 or 2?
For me, I'm very passionate about this, and that is effective communication and effective listening skills. The communication, when you're an entrepreneur, you need to be able to sell your product or service. And in order to do that, you need to be able to effectively communicate it to your target audience and to be able to listen to your target audience. So for that product or that service that you are selling, you can modify and make it better to meet the target audience's demands. I just went blank, but yeah, that for me is the biggest thing, is that proper communication. I am a on again, off again Toastmaster starting from 2006, and that particular program, I highly push it. That really does help you in public speaking. And for the youth who are listening, I push communication, and communicating is not having your face buried in a phone. You need to be able to look your target audience right in the eye and effectively communicate it. So to the youth, I highly promote learning how to effectively communicate and listen.
Thank you very much. So panelists, you can actually take a little rest for a moment. I am going to turn around and ask Carmen from OYAP to share a little bit of what he knows about entrepreneurship and what are some of the skills.
Thanks. First of all, boy, did we check off all the boxes on what's needed in transferable skills: accountability, communication, teamwork, attitude. Thank you very much. That's what we do as educators. We try to share that knowledge with our students, and you just can't stress enough. So I commend all of you. You hit all the bullets. So fantastic. You know, I want to focus on just excuse me. I want to focus on just bring you back to something that was mentioned earlier about skills. And when I look at Chef David and Pandora specifically, they talked about skills and how, you know, they've become entrepreneurs, but it just didn't happen overnight. You have to gain those skills when you are a young person working through high school and working through after high school. And it does not happen in a year or two or three, but everything that you're putting together will eventually benefit you. And once you feel confident in your skills, then you can go out there and be an entrepreneur. And I think that's very, very important to understand for, you know, young adults, that it just doesn't happen like that. Taking the right courses in high school, that's where you get that skill development already, whatever those tech courses are, whether it's in hospitality, whether it's with construction, whether it's with manufacturing. That's where it all starts. I do want to share a little bit of a story of a young entrepreneur that just happened last year. Young man, one of our high schools here in Brantford, very talented with construction, takes all the construction courses with one of our teachers here in Brantford. And he decides to do a summer company business. He decides to build Muskoka chairs because he learned how to build Muskoka chairs in his school. He goes, I'm really good at this. And he ramped it up to massive production. What I'm going to tell you right now, he had orders coming off the email every day, 2, 3, 4. He would paint them up and all this. So this young man already took his skill that he learned in his class, being able to make these Muskoka chairs, and then he ramped it up to make a summer company out of it. And that to me is the way young entrepreneurs start. Now, I did put in the chat that there's an opportunity for students already through the summer company program that the Ministry of Ontario offers. That's a great way to start your summer company. Put a business plan together. Hopefully you get accepted. They give you a little bit of money seed money up front. You work your business plan throughout the summer months. They give you some money at the end, and it teaches you all about marketing, finance, how to promote, advertise, plus create your product. That is just a fabulous way to start in the becoming an entrepreneur. And maybe sometimes the business won't go well, but you learn from those mistakes. And ultimately, that is something that is just vital. So I wanted to share that story with you because I think, Chef David and Pandora, it just didn't happen when they were 18, 19. They had life experiences that brought them to being successful where they are. And I think that can be said for all of us. So it's fantastic. And also my last bit here is, it's kind of neat for me to look at the screen. Charmaine, we have Immersive Link and great product. And, through the pandemic, it's been difficult to get out there, but we're still working on it. Chef David, you know where we're going in a couple weeks. Chef David's coming to our classrooms and in a virtual way. And Pandora, I reached out to Larissa that I am going to connect with you next week to work something out. So these events are fantastic because not only are we promoting skilled trades and the opportunities there for students, but we're also connecting ourselves and just helping each other out to continue to promote these careers for our students. So thank you very much. Hopefully I answered.
You did. That was wonderful. You did an
like I
amazing
said,
job.
I did put the link on summer companies, which is really for students out there. You know, you start taking OYAP in high school. It's a co-op program. Just start going to your guidance counselor and say, how do I get involved in the skill trades? It just starts with that. And after that, you're all set.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very much.
So I just want to take a quick moment to thank all of the panelists. It's been a privilege to be able to ask you the questions and be part of this circle with you. I enjoyed all the information. It's just been a really powerful time for me with all of the different panelists that I've seen so far. So again, from my heart, I thank you all for sharing. And now we do have some questions from the youth, and Jillian is here and she's going to start asking those questions.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Cynthia. Okay, great. We have a question, an anonymous question. What age do you have to be to work in the cooking industry? So I guess that is for our chef, David Wolfman. What age do you have to be to work in the cooking industry?
Well, I started when I was 16. You know, I mean, I actually started cooking when I was 10 years old, but in the industry, I did move in 15 at a takeout counter. And you know, I wasn't serving any alcohol or anything like that. I was just on a takeout counter. So I started there when I was 15. But I've seen in some of the smaller restaurants that people that will be working in a dish pit, you know, where you got to start somewhere and gain that skill, you know, and I worked at dish pit. You got your food handlers at 14, perfect. Then you can start there, start busting tables. And I think that's the best way. As a matter of fact, I remember that I had a couple of people in the dish pit and they said, well, you must look down at us. And I thought, no, actually the dish pit is where the people look, you know, the chefs look at the plates, what's coming back, who's not eating the food, what's going on. So every job is important in the kitchen, but you can definitely start it at any age. And in high school, you can, when I was in high school, I went to West Park Secondary, it's not there anymore, but I wanted to do a machine shop, but I was too late for that. Or actually it was like, merchandising was the class that I took, and I ended up running a little store in there, and I was only 14 years old, you know, and because I had a way with numbers, I just used to play with numbers. They said, oh, so then you can take care of all of the store here. And we, you know, we sell like pencils and pens and chips and pop, which we really shouldn't have, but that's what we did in our store in our school, right? So absolutely a young age. I hope that answers your question.
Wonderful. I just one more sec. Chef David, we have another one. How do you manage stress? How do you manage stress in your workplace? I have heard working in the kitchen is one of the most stressful jobs out there. So I was curious to see how you handle the stresses or challenges that come about in your field of work.
Well, first of all, I think that what stresses us out is the questions that we ask ourselves. And I'll give you an example. Tomorrow we have a big function of, or on the weekend, 7,000 people coming in. Do we have the food? Do I have this? Is my crew? How is my staff? And I think that when we can rile ourselves up, and I guess over time realizing, okay, I'm confident enough to do this. I've done this enough times. This is pretty good. You know, it's a challenging customer or it's a challenging meal. I have the confidence in what I'm doing. So I just look at it that I ask myself different questions like, how am I going to do this so it's really fantastic? So when I'm serving our customer, that's going to be good. So I think because I think that I can create a lot of my own stress. And I also think of planning ahead, being a good leader, getting your team involved, letting them know, getting things done ahead of time, having a schedule. You can't see it behind me, but there's a bunch of stuff taped up on the wall. Even though I have them everywhere, I have stuff taped. Just make sure that you do this, and you know, because I can't remember everything like I used to. So I think organizing yourself is the key. And then when you that's there, then you can get a little more calm. Now, sometimes all your crew can be stressed out, but you have to be the calm one that says, okay, we got to get this through. We got to steer the ship and get to the destination. So thank you for that. Thank you for that question. Really great questions.
Yeah, that was a really great question. And we have one more actually for you, Chef, from Catherine. We have two more questions. This is one of the last, and this is, what is the difference between a cook and a chef?
Excellent question again. So when you think of in a kitchen, okay, so a cook is somebody that's going to cook on the line. I'm going to say a line cook for now. So a line cook would be somebody who works in a restaurant. Somebody orders a steak, you make the steak, you get the vegetables, you get the sauce, you put it on the plate. You open the kitchen, you clean the grill, you close the kitchen, you put everything away, you make sure that all the food was ordered. A chef is somebody that orders the food, orders the menus, writes new menus up, for example, right? Writes new menus, deals with clients, talks to customers, is responsible for the costing of the month. What's our food cost? What's our food sales? And makes those changes. So you still need both people, as a and now chefs today, compared to when I was an apprentice in the 70s, that chef used to scream and throw things. It's funny, when you heard the word duck, you ducked. You didn't think, oh, it's an order for duck, right? He just ducked because our chef was crazy. Crazy, but I learned a lot from him. I took away a lot. I saw how he didn't have a lot of trust to everybody, but I thought there's got to be another way to trust our staff. But the chefs today are actually managers. We're all about the customer. We're all about talking to the customer. I remember this chef somebody would say they don't eat this. He would say, well, then don't eat it, and he would still put the plate out. Where today, if you did that, you wouldn't have a job. So we're all managers now. That's what the difference of a chef is, that we're talking to not only the owners, social media people, and we do a lot of things like that, right? So I think when you see some screaming chefs on TV, it's, some of them are just like that, and good for them.
Some of the aunties and grandmothers, right? Thank you so much, Chef Wolfman. Thank you for that insight. And we have one last question, and I believe it's a generic question to maybe Pandora, maybe across the board, but how old do you have to be to start my own business? For example, making custom t-shirts and selling them, etc. What would be kind of the age to start your business?
So I have a 10-year-old daughter who started her own business 2 years ago because she wanted to buy her own pony. And she did. And she made enough money to buy her own pony, and she's 8. So she started, because we have a laser, she started making stall signs for horse stalls. So it would have like the horse's name, loved by whoever the owner is. And that kid, she she wanted this $1,000 pony, and they were $20 each, and she sold enough of those to buy it by the end of February, and she started right before Christmas. So you can really do it at any age. You just have to have the desire, really, like you're doing it for a reason, right? And she wanted her own horse. I have my own horse. She wanted her own horse. And now we have 2 horses. Technically we have 3, but my husband doesn't know about the 3rd one, so we don't really broadcast that. But yeah, and it's something like, if you have a maker space in your community, you don't necessarily have to go out and buy a $2,000 heat press and a $500 Cricut. If there's a maker space that you can join that has a membership, you can use their tools until you have enough money and build enough capital to use your own tools. So really it's any age. And I guess if you don't drive, then, conversations with your parents or your caregivers are also key in that. And if they're not able to help you, maybe they have a friend, or maybe there's a family member that you can connect with that can help you on that journey, because you just it's the supports, right? So it depends on how old you are and where you're at and what your family life is like. And I mean, if that's something that you're interested in doing, feel free to contact me through either my social media or my website, and I can point you in the right direction. And I have a heat press and a vinyl cutter here. So yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. And, that's where even Jason, right? Effective communication. And thank you so much for that, because networking out and sourcing out and communicating to your family, community, everybody in kind of your social bubble to make it happen. What you put out there, once you put it into the universe, right? You threw it out there, and to prepare and guide yourself and get yourself ready for the next steps, right? So thank you so much, Pandora, for you know, adding a little bit of your daughter's touch into making something, you know, a huge dream come alive. To our panelists, thank you so much. I truly enjoyed this panel, and I'm sure the youth have too. That was it for our Q&A for this panel. I'm sure they got a lot. They definitely want to hear from you again, so we'll definitely you know, relay the message to the YSOs to make that happen. But thank you so much. You have made this first panel a wonderful, enjoyable session to start off our evening event. So thank you all, and take care.
So much.
And yep, go ahead, Larissa.
I'm just going to share a little bit of information because we've actually filmed Pandora's story. And so I wanted to help all of our youth to be able to understand exactly how they can learn more about Mulberry Design. This is, again, the Opportunity Knocks event. This is the homepage. If you click on the Browse Now under the pre-event experience, it will open up this page. You can scroll down. You can check out the dances as well and all of these different company profiles. You can learn more about Chef David Wolfman, about Immersive Link, about OYAP. The list goes on. As I scroll down, you can also see right here under Entrepreneurship, Indigenous Design, Operation, and Processes. And here you've got about a 10-minute video that features Pandora's story. You can learn more about what she does. Next up, we're really excited as we are stepping into the second big session for tonight. Here is the Friday event day. I'm going to put this in the live chat so that everybody has easy access to it. And as we scroll down, we've gone through the welcome and the opening entrepreneurship. Here, if you've got a couple of minutes, you can get started on the OYAP scavenger hunt. And then next up, starting at 6:30, we've got 5 minutes. We are going to have Cindy from Brock University, and you'll be able to join that live session to do your bookmarks. And so we're excited about that. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a quick moment to stretch. Jillian, is that it for now?
That is it for now. Check out our dance videos on the site, and we will see everybody back in 5 minutes. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Thank
Have a
you.
great evening.